Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and yeah, normally I don't make a follow-up video like this, but yeah, the PlayStation scam is a lot worse than I actually thought of.
This video is not necessarily a price to value comparison. I want to keep it to be a reasonable budget.
How much more?
This build, the way I did it, which to be fair was not going for budget, is somewhere in the like $1,500
Oh my God, so twice?
As I start walking around in motion, I actually think that the PS5 Pro looks better. It's close. It's really quite close. $1,500
Oh my God, so twice?
Oh my God, why is it compiling shaders again?
Oh, because it's a new monitor.
I actually kind of like the look of the film grain on the PS5.
Wow. Okay, that's not fair. That's not fair though.
That's true.
Oh wow. Device driver hung.
Driver.
All right, 20 frames per second.
That's lower than it was before.
I also set it to 4K native.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
Okay, but HDR's working in this game. Hey, there we go. I hope this is a 30 FPS game on PlayStation. Oh no. Okay.
Why is it crashing so much?
No, it's got this. It's got this, I believe. I believe it has the power of PC. The power of PC compels you.
Next game.
Internal rendering resolution and drawing too much in the way of conclusions from that. You really need to be looking at image quality. And I was trying to communicate exactly the same message today, is we need to change the way we're talking about resolution. Maybe we shouldn't be talking about it at all. The difficulty is if you don't have a number, it gets very hard to have that conversation.
Hey, you want to see me dissect false claims and misinformation about tech, the Xbox ROG Ally X, PC versus PS5 Pro, and so on? Well, step right in, because you clicked on the right video. So first up, let's set the stage and give context on why I'm qualified to do this. Here's my background, aka the hardware I own and the hardware I have access to. On the PlayStation side, we've got the PS4, PS5, and the PlayStation 5 Professional, as Ledbetter from Digital Foundry likes to call it. I had my fair share of experience with an RTX 3090 rig a couple of years ago. Earlier this year, I had hands-on time with a beast of a machine, the RTX 4090 rig. And just last week, I built a pretty respectable 506016 gig rig specifically for work purposes. We'll talk a bit more about that rig later in the video, but for now, let's just paint the picture so you know what we're working with here. But one thing I will not skip over before we dive into this bumpy road is this statement right here. The PS5 and PS5 Pro are by far the ultimate gaming systems for 99% of gamers out there. This is just a fact, and I know a lot of you are already fuming and typing your "you have no idea what you're talking about" lines because blah blah blah. Yeah, I've heard it a million times, and it's inevitable. So let's start with something fun. Our first victim of the day is this wonderful X post from this gentleman that I'm about to roast and dissect. And I quote, "Linked my Steam account with PlayStation. I'm playing PlayStation through my ROG Xbox Ally X. So why do I need a PlayStation console when I can be on PlayStation PC? Xboxers have access to everything once it touches PC. I know. So here's my response incoming, and this is just the beginning. After my initial response, this guy will continue to dig himself into a hole so deep, you'll say I made this interaction up. But nope, I got all the screenshots saved, so let's get into the juicy part. And I quote, "Because you're playing PS4 games on low 30 frames per second with a 3-hour battery life, when you could play on a 4K 55-inch TV 120Hz HDR comfortably on the couch. Maybe that's a good reason for playing on a PS5, just saying." He replied, "I love proving the naysayers wrong because their bias has blinded their logical thinking. Look at that upper left corner. Okay, let's try this again. Show me Spider-Man 2 with RT on at 1440p native with native 60 on your $1,000 Xbox ROG Ally, and I'll buy it tomorrow." He said, "You're talking about the Pro, which I have. You're also comparing an handheld PC to a console, which is the stupidest thing I've ever seen."
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
First of all, I gave you the base PS5 settings, not the PS5 Pro, and I didn't start this debate. And you come back at me with, I'm comparing a console to a handheld. That's so stupid. But who started this whole debate? Let's read the original post again. Linked my Steam account with PlayStation. I'm playing PlayStation through my ROG Xbox Ally X. So why do I need a PlayStation console when I can be on PlayStation PC? Xboxers have access to everything once it touches PC. Imagine trying to prove you run PS5 games on ROG Ally X, and when your claim is challenged, you go on to show a PS4 game like Uncharted 4 without showing resolution, battery life, and settings, and telling the original commenter your bias? Why are they like this? Like, bro, you asked, why should I buy a PS5? And I gave you 5 points to tackle, and you didn't address one of them. And when I tell you show me Spider-Man 2 with the base PS5 settings at 60 frames per second, you delete my comment. So I had to comment twice. And the second time, you're telling me I'm stupid for comparing PS5 Pro to a handheld, which I didn't, by the way. But you see how we're going in circles here? And then you go on to brag that you actually own a PS5 Pro. Well, congrats, I guess. But the fact that you even went there to show a picture of your PS5 Pro just discredits your original post even further, and showing everyone that you just made a post to rage bait. And when you got challenged on your claims, we ran in circles like a dog chasing its own tail. So what are we doing here?
What do you mean? What do you mean by shaking it? What are you doing? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Let's ask Destin's opinion.
Ratchet & Clank was running 30 to 40 FPS after some light tweaking of the settings. God of War Ragnarok, 30 to 40 FPS. Marvel Spider-Man, 30 to 45 FPS out of the box. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, near lock, 30 FPS. Returnal, 60 FPS with optimized settings. 30 FPS out of the box. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves, near locked, 60 FPS out of the box. Death Stranding, 30 to 60 FPS in the introductory areas anyway. And yes, I have heard this thing plays Xbox games too. And yes, I have heard this thing plays Xbox games too. And yes, I have heard this thing plays Xbox games too.
Thank you, Dr. Hibbert. I rest my case.
All right, so let me tell you about this absolutely chaotic tech debate I walked into the other day. This thing started with people arguing about the expectations for next-gen GPUs and somehow ended with me mediating a full-on hardware holy war at 2 in the morning. And honestly, it turned into one of the most productive conversations I've seen in years. It started simple. One guy was like 5070 to 5080 performance in raster and 5090 level ray tracing would be perfect. And another dude clapped back with 4K 60 with path tracing on AMD, hardware's barely moving, even a 9090 XT would struggle. So the whole comment section is on fire. Everyone's fighting. And I finally had to step in like, all right, how about we stop throwing punches and actually talk realistically? So here's my stance. And it shocked people. Yes, the PS5 can do ray tracing at 4K. The problem isn't resolution. It's frame rate. You'll see 30 FPS in those RT modes. But in exclusives, 1080 to 1440p with RT on, upscaled to 4K, and still holding a clean 60? Absolutely possible. We've seen it a dozen times. PS5 Pro and PSSR should not be downplayed. They truly deliver on the promise. Most games, especially PS5 Pro enhanced games, run at 60 frames per second and look better than what the PS5 offers in fidelity mode at 30. Are there third-party games that don't shine on the Pro? Yes. But that's basically either a third-party dev issue or a UE5 issue. Next point. PS6 is definitely being built around ray tracing performance. There will be cores or engines specifically made to handle that load. Is the goal 8K path tracing at 240 frames per second? No, absolutely not. That makes no sense at all. The goal is to have 4K, upscaled or not, 60 FPS, full RT on. I think 60 is the golden standard for single-player games and 120 for multiplayer. The PS6 should target 4K RT at 60 frames per second, with optional frame gen and not forced for single-player games. Black Myth Wukong was abysmal with frame gen on base PS5. Multiplayer games, 120 frames per second, clear 4K. Keep it simple and functional. It's enough for most gamers, but one thing is for sure, PS6 will not disappoint at all. We've hit the wall at 4K. 8K 8K is pointless. Put that power into view distance, no pop-in, clean reflections, stable 60 frames per second, stable 120 frames per second. If they want to throw in an 8K 30 frames per second marketing mode, fine. But fidelity over resolution every single time. I'll take 1440p maxed settings over 4K compromise settings all day long, and I know most players feel the same. Then, obviously, somebody tried the classic line, "You know you can hook a PC to your TV, right?" And yeah, bro. No kidding. I have a mini PC hooked up to my TV right now. But listen, after 12 hours of staring at Windows 11 at work, when 8 p.m. hits, it's PlayStation beep sound time. I grab the DualSense, flop on the couch in the weirdest, inhuman position possible, controller behind my head, don't ask, and just start playing. Then we got into the realism conversation. Someone tried the movies and games are different argument, and I said, they don't have to be. Mark Cerny literally said, maybe we should stop talking about resolution entirely. He wasn't joking. A 1080p Blu-ray at high bitrate on a 65-inch screen looks more real than an 8K 120 FPS ray-traced game. Because realism isn't resolution. It's lighting, shading, materials, motion, the way pixels behave, not how many there are. Raw power scaling is dead. We need new rendering ideas. Upscaling and frame gen are only step one. And I know you'll agree with this. Upscaling tech like DLSS 4 plus frame gen is severely underrated today.
Are pretty interested in a certain kind of problem, which is that you have a pretty tremendous improvement in image quality. And I think we see this across, different kinds of PC upscalers as well when we're talking about that. But the internal resolution of that imagery might not be changing that much relative to what you saw before. So are you guys kind of trying to figure out how to message that to people and tell people like this is a profoundly improved image despite the fact that the internal resolution is comparable? And I know that we're part of this problem for sure.
Internal rendering resolution and drawing too much in the way of conclusions from that, you really need to be looking at image quality. And I was trying to communicate exactly the same message today, is we need to change the way we're talking about resolution. Maybe we shouldn't be talking about it at all. The difficulty is if you don't have a number, right, it gets very hard to have that conversation.
Yeah, I think we tried to get away from it at some point by just maybe stop telling the numbers and start using like some kind of model that would tell people what the approximate image quality is. Yeah. But it's a big challenge because like you're trying to communicate different things, and resolution is an important part of that at the moment at least, but that final image is ultimately what really matters to people, and I think that's what we're seeing with PSSR for sure. One last question.
Lower power consumption, higher fidelity assets, and perhaps most importantly, the synergies that universal compression has with neural arrays and radiance cores as we work to deliver the best possible experiences to gamers. Overall, it's of course still very early days for these technologies. They only exist in simulation right now, but the results are quite promising, and I'm really excited about bringing them to a future console in a few years' time.
We feel the same way, Mark, and we're so excited to...
This video is not necessarily a price to value comparison. I want to keep it to be a reasonable budget.
So, here's the thing. We kinda need to have a brutally honest talk about PC gaming right now, because people keep pretending it's still 2016 out here. You know that old line everyone used to throw around, like, bro, don't buy a console. You can build a PC for the same price and destroy it? Yeah, that era is gone. Not dying, not fading, gone. Late 2025 is a whole different reality. You've seen that Micro Center screenshot, right? Austin standing there with a $1,500 rig admitting he still couldn't beat a PS5 Pro. That's not him being dumb. That's not the wrong BIOS setting. That's just the truth of where the market is right now. The whole console killer build fantasy got wiped out by three things: the optimization wall, the AI tax, and those sneaky hidden costs nobody ever talks about. So let's take it piece by piece. First thing, the optimization wall and the spec sheet lie. People love to stare at TFLOPs like they actually mean something. They don't. Like the PS5 Pro is $700, sure, but look at what you're getting. You're basically holding something with a feature set in the same neighborhood as a 4070-ish or 5060 Ti tech. And the trick isn't raw power. It's the fact that all of this is unified hardware. One target, one architecture. Developers code straight to the metal. Meanwhile, on PC, every week we get another game with stutters, shader compilation issues, random crashes, or that weird frame pacing that makes the whole screen feel like it's breathing. Even if you dropped big money on a 4070 Super, some of these games are still going to run worse than on a locked console box. And then there's the PSSR thing. PlayStation has hardware-level AI upscaling built into the machine. To get something that looks that clean on PC, yeah, you're not using FSR. You're buying an NVIDIA card. Boom! Welcome to the green tax, where your minimum decent GPU is basically $600 or more just to get something on par with the PS5 Pro's upscaling. Now, the second problem, the big one, the AI tax. People keep asking, why is RAM going up? Or why are GPUs more expensive? And the answer is honestly hilarious in a depressing way. Gamers are not the target audience anymore. These companies are chasing AI money. RAM factories are switching their lines from making consumer DDR5 to making HBM for data centers. So yeah, you're not just buying RAM, you're bidding against Microsoft and Google. And on the GPU side, NVIDIA doesn't even pretend anymore. They're an AI company. Gaming GPUs are a rounding error to them. If you don't buy their cards, some AI startup will. So why would they ever lower the prices? The $500 mid-range card? That's the new normal. And the third thing, the invisible costs. This one gets everybody because it's not performance, but you still need it. That guy with the $1,500 bill? Try recreating a PS5 Pro experience on PC. Go on. You're suddenly buying a 2TB SSD, a proper motherboard so your RAM actually hits the speeds it advertises, a power supply that doesn't choke, a case that doesn't cook your components, fans, windows, all that stuff. Meanwhile, the PS5 Pro gives you the SSD, the cooling, the PSU, the Wi-Fi, the OS, the whole package, inside that $700 box. Oh, and a free DualSense. A lot of the times, people don't put into calculations the cost of, hey, maybe you need a mouse keyboard and a monitor if you're starting fresh. That's another $300 added to your cost. And here's the thing, nobody talks about when they do that whole PC master race chest thumping routine. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that beats the comfort of just turning on your PS5 or PS5 Pro and playing. No fiddling, no patching drivers, no fixing shader cache, no praying to the AMD gods. You hit the button, the screen turns on, and boom, the game is right there. Zero stress. Like, dude, even when your PC is pushing 150 or 180 frames per second, you can still get weird dips, micro stutters, random hitching, input latency from the OS, some background process going nuts, or whatever Windows Update demon crawled out of hell that day. And I'm not joking. I've tested this. For some bizarre reason, 60 frames per second on the TV, stretched out on the couch, just feels smoother than 150 frames per second on a desktop monitor. It makes no sense, but it's real. It's like the experience is calmer, steadier, more consistent, even if the numbers technically say otherwise. And I get why people chase ultra settings on PC. You're sitting right in front of the monitor. You can literally see every pop-in, every LOD swap, every missing shadow. But when you're across the room with a controller in your hand, the experience changes. You're not measuring pixels anymore, you're actually playing the game. In a blind test, even if the PS5 Pro is running slightly lower settings than some RTX 4090 monster build, the console version still feels better somehow. It's just more cohesive. That's the thing people forget. PC is about peak fidelity, sure, but consoles are about the experience, the flow, the comfort. And at the end of the day, you're not bragging about shadow maps at midnight. You're trying to chill and enjoy your damn game. And honestly, when I'm on the couch with the PS5 Pro, not dealing with stutters, not dealing with broken ports, not dealing with why is my CPU suddenly at 90%, the whole thing just feels smooth, effortless, like the machine actually wants me to play the game instead of troubleshoot it. That alone is worth more than 100 extra frames. And I already know what some of you are gonna say. But Ashley, a PC can do so much more. And you know what? You're absolutely right. A PC is insanely versatile. I'm not denying that for a second. I literally have multiple setups myself. I've got a great laptop for editing on the go. I've got a mini PC hooked up to the TV for movies and media stuff. And I just built a tower PC that costs double my PS5 Pro for actual work, video encoding, heavy editing, the boring grown-up stuff. But here's the truth that most people won't admit. 99.99% of you don't need all that. You don't need 3 machines. means? You don't need a workstation build. You don't need a mini PC and a laptop and a tower. I do because of my job. Most people, not even close. So if you're sitting there this holiday season with $1,500 in your pocket, trying to decide where to put it, I'm telling you straight up, you're better off grabbing a solid laptop for productivity and a PS5 Pro, or even just a base PS5. For the average gamer, that combo gives you 5 times more value per dollar. Way more comfort, way less drama. Because here's what actually happens when you dump that entire $1,500 into a single gaming PC. Yeah, maybe in raw numbers it scrapes past a PS5 Pro. Maybe in certain games it hits some big benchmarks. But then you spend hours and hours and hours in menus trying to fine-tune settings, tweak resolution scaling, manage drivers, hunt down stutters, disable overlays, adjust VRAM usage, fix crashes, optimize shader caches. And by the time you're done, the sun's gone down and you haven't actually played anything. Meanwhile, on PS5 Pro, you hit power, you sit down, you play. You're not a part-time technician, you're just a gamer again.
Yeah.
I can really see it in the stray hairs here.
Oh, yeah.
To be clear, this is very playable. This is not bad, but this is definitely a little sharper. Let me see what I can do to fix that up a bit over here. In terms of settings, I'm running pretty much at ultra. The hairs are not quite looking as good.
I also wonder, you're set on ultra settings, if maybe there's like some shadow things we could bring down in like some kind of optimization that would help boost you back over the edge.
After some more playing around, we ended up needing 70% render scale in order to get 30 FPS consistently in Last of Us Part 1. It should be noted, we could absolutely hit higher frame rates if we were willing to compromise on visual fidelity, but that wasn't the point of this exercise. The point of this exercise was to get an as good, or in some cases maybe even better experience with the same budget. And what did we spend overall?
We spent $475. We got $25 of wiggle room.
Right, but we also conjured peripherals. We didn't pay for a controller. And realistically, we don't have a warranty on pretty much any of our parts. We also had to put in the time to source all this stuff and put it together, including the risk of running into broken hardware, incompatibilities. We had some games that, because of our choice of an Intel Arc GPU, didn't run as well, whether that's crashing or limited support for HDR. So, full credit to Sony, and Microsoft for that matter. This generation of consoles, I would say, has retained its better value than a PC status for far longer than I anticipated, and it may be another year, even 2 years, before we can beat them with a brand new machine. But I also think